After getting to Union Station at around 9:30, we quickly hopped on a porter bus to Billy Bishop Airport, where we then flew to Montreal, and then Switzerland. We got upgraded on this flight, so we got a blanket, earbuds, and a pillow. Because the airport was so big, we took a train to our next airport. Finally, our last flight was to Venice. Even with the incredible view, I had to break a couple records. After we landed, we quickly went to get some food, checked into our hotel, Hotel Canada, and then we walked around and explored the city. And then we got some dinner. And gelato. This gelato was the first gelato we had on this trip, putting it in first position on the gelato tier list. We started the next morning off with some juice, an espresso, and a cornetto. We then quickly walked to the rooftop terrace, and after a few flights of stairs, we were there, in the waiting room. After a few minutes, we could go out. Then we got some pretty good pizza, putting it number 1 on our pizza tier list. After getting some pizza, we quickly went to St. Mark's Basilica. But what's super crazy is this lamppost is the size of that. For dinner, we got some pasta, and then we got some pizza. The pizza was actually pretty good, putting it number 1 on the pizza tier list. After that, we walked to the bus station for our overnight ride to Rome. After an early morning in Rome, we quickly got some food, and then we ran up the stairs and got some pretty nice photos at the top. While walking to Vatican, we passed this pizza place, so we decided to get lunch here. Finally, we arrived in Vatican City. Even though the artwork was truly one of a kind, you really do not need to go here more than once. Honestly, Vatican felt more like they're trying to cram as many people in, and it wasn't enjoyable, as we can see from this video. I also do not recommend the reservation fee, as it really doesn't save you any time. You still have to wait in the same line as everyone else. After we finished the museum, we got some ice cream at Frigidarium. This place had really good gelato, putting it first place on a gelato tier list. We then headed over to Trevi Fountain, where we put a coin in the water for good luck. We then went to the Pantheon. After walking back home, we then went to this market to end the night. We started the morning off at McDonald's to get some food for our bus trip to Florence. We first went to the place that we were staying at, and then we went to the Accademia Gallery of Florence, which is where the famous statue David is. After walking around the museum, we then got some food. We kind of became hungry, so we got a few snacks. The gelato we got here was not very good, putting it in last place on the gelato tier list. We began the day with a train ride to Pisa. On the train, we got a few snacks. Finally, we arrived at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And then we walked around Pisa for a bit. We ate all this pizza on the way home, and it was actually really good, putting it in second place on the pizza tier list. After going back to Florence and seeing this guy, we went to Gusto's Pizza. This pizza was not the best pizza we had, putting it in 4th place on the pizza tier list. Once we finished the pizza, we walked over here to climb this, the Duomo. I highly recommend doing this because not only is it a great leg workout, but there's a crazy view at the top. I highly recommend doing it at sunset so you can get some nice photos. After going to Florence to get some bubble tea, we went to a marketplace to get some food. The next morning we took the Florence train to the bus station, and then we took Itabus to Rome. After checking into our hotel, we went to Pomodorum for pasta. At around 10 euros a pasta, this place was only okay. We then got some gelato here, and some tiramisu. The gelato wasn't bad, putting it in 2nd place on the gelato tier list. The next morning we first went to the Colosseum. Then walked around some more and saw a few more historical Roman sites. Stopped off at Mizio's for some pretty good sandwiches. We headed back to the Airbnb to do some work, and then we went to another marketplace. On the way home, we stopped off to get some gelato. This gelato was pretty good, putting it in second place on the gelato tier list. The next day we flew back to Toronto, but first we stayed in an airport lounge for a bit. Even though we only had an hour and a half there, it was a buffet, so I ate as much as I could. Finally, we were on our way home. But first, we had a few Yahtzee records to break. First, second, fourth, and seventh.